Yahoo! Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to the Aquarian Adepts, my platform to become your spiritual server. And welcome to your full moon in Scorpio report. And I've had a really good morning so far. It's been very peaceful. And just been I'm proud of myself, because I was faced with some temptations last night that I was actually strong enough to not give into. And I think that literally has put me into an energy today where I do feel like I can do this and I can move forward. And we all have temptations, right? So I just wanted to start this off a little bit different than the other lunar reports. And I hope you all can hear me over the music. Actually, I might turn it down just a tad. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to start this off with a channeled poem. And I write a lot of poetry. But I really wanted to start this off with a channeled poem just because this is a full moon we're talking about. And the moon represents emotions, the subconscious, past lives. And I like to think of it as a very poetic energy, actually, because the moon is the fastest moving planet we track. It moves around the zodiac about once every 29.5 days. So it's constantly moving, and I like to think of poetry as this constant flux of energy. It's one of my favorite forms of writing, and I believe it's one of the first languages, poetry. I just wanted to read this to you all, because this is really what I feel, at least within my spirit, what is happening. And this is actually a poem where I actually had the title of this poem already thought out several weeks ago. But I never was able to write it. And I didn't even know this poem was that poem until nearly at the end of it, because it all kind of just came together. But let me read this channeled poem to you all. And this is just kind of how I feel is going on with this full moon. And then I'll hop into like the transits and all that stuff. So. This cliff reached out much farther than one could have anticipated. By now, however, one has come so far that there really is no sense in going back. For the drop below may not be nearly as steep as previously thought, especially considering the pull to keep walking to the edge that pulls us in like a moth flocking to the light. We stumbled, we faltered, we lost and lost again. Yet still pulled on, magnetized to the center, hoping, trusting that we would find that place again, where it all makes sense, and we need not bother with the finer details. Let Source take care of that, for all we wish now is to fly with our flock, that understands all of our weird motions and sudden ticks. As this illusion clicks on, we move here and there, yet somehow this cluster flock is still in sync. No matter how burdensome this all seems, we wish to understand each other still, despite all of the clothes we've decided to play with. Cluster flock. That's what I describe humanity, is we are a cluster flock. Have you all ever seen, perhaps you've seen it like in person or maybe even like on TV, how those flocks of birds, how they move together, and it looks like a school of fish in the sky, how these birds just move and they flow with each other, and if one bird makes a movement, they all go in that same direction, and they just seem to flow with each other. It's a very beautiful dance, and I like to think of humanity as that, actually. Now, we probably can't see it because we're in it. So it's hard for us to see that humanity has this dynamic shape, like a constantly moving polygon almost, that perhaps if we take this higher vantage point, we can see that we're actually moving like this, and that we're not crashing into each other, you know? Now, when you peer in, it might appear that we are crashing into each other, that we're butting heads. But really, this is a sacred dance. And I like to think of humanity as a cluster flock. You know, we're a flock of energetic beings moving together throughout this universe, learning from each other, morphing with each other, and even though there are some parts of this flock that are kind of going this way, and some parts that seem like they're going this way, in truth, it's all together in one. And that's really what I believe is going on here. Now, interesting enough, with this full moon, what you're going to see perceivably is this bit of separation, right? And really what we were coming into is really finding our tribe. You know, I believe that we are all one. We are all part of one source, one love. That's what I really believe. But, you know, this is a sacred dance. And I would even go as far as to say as a sacred war. You know, they say, you know, you have this war between light and dark, you know. But really it's a sacred dance. But sometimes you have to play the light side. Sometimes you have to play the dark side. And I don't think any one person is completely light or completely dark. I think we all have had moments where we, you know, we're definitely shining in our light. And then there were times where we were all just like really in the depths of our shadow. And what is Scorpio? Scorpio is, well, it's the 8th sign of the zodiac. So in many ways it's kind of like the infinity symbol. And Scorpio is really deep desires, deep truth. It's a sign of purity, I believe. And I like to think of it as, if you have like this infinity loop, the more and more you do this infinity loop, this energy, and you hit that center point, think about all of the energy that is gained from this motion. When it hits that center point again, when it hits that center point again, when it hits that center point again, something sparks and lights up. It's almost like a strobe light in many ways. It's like it goes around, boom, goes around, boom, goes around, boom, spark, flash, spark, flash. In many ways, I like to think that's what Scorpio is. And it's like, it's a protector of sacred knowledge too. Not everyone is necessarily ready for the information, but it's there to be tapped into. And as a representative of the Scorpionic energy, and I also have my Pluto there and my Mars there, I can definitely say that I don't necessarily understand it fully myself, because it's an energy that's not really understood. It represents the natural 8th house. The 8th house is really understood. And then why do we call the 8th house the house of shared resources? Perhaps because we're all in this together. And if it's one thing that we share, is this infinite abundance. I think 8 is a very interesting number, and I think people are afraid of the number 8. But at the same time, you cannot get any more abundant than infinity. Think about it. You can't get any more abundant with that, because it comes back around full circle. No matter where you are on the infinity symbol, you could be in the down spot, going down, you can be rising up, but it always comes back to the center. And I think what we are realizing now is that there are certain people in our life, that there are certain situations in our life that are definitely coming to an end, and we really wanted these things to work out, and maybe they just didn't work out. But we had to accept the fact that we are all attached to that infinite abundance, and we will see those situations and those people again, just maybe in a slightly tweaked fashion. And we are destined to experience all of it. You know, I believe that this moment right here that I'm making this video has happened before. Maybe it hasn't happened in this exact circumstance, but something very, 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 very similar has happened before. And it comes all back around full circle. That's what I believe. And I think we all are feeling that. And I think we're all becoming more aware of that. So it's like, this full moon in Scorpio is an opportunity for you to really express those deeper desires. It's an opportunity for you to really express what really turns you on, and it's an opportunity for you to really tap into that love frequency and that frequency of value, because we also have Taurus, of course, here. The sun is in Taurus, so it's talking about self-worth and self-value, and it's also a very earthy sign, so we're actually going to manifest this. That's the interesting thing about this axis, is that, like, with the Scorpio energy, it's very mysterious, and it's very kind of like almost unseen. You know, it's water element. I like to almost think of it as like an icy water, though, because it's fixed, right? And I like to think of Scorpio as like this icy water, and it's like, in many ways, it's like the iceberg that's below the water. Like, we can't see all of this stuff that's going on beneath the surface. We only kind of see what's on top. We see like the penguins playing and stuff, and the polar bears and stuff, but we don't really get down in depths, and we don't really necessarily see everything that's going on the under the water, you know. But this eventually manifests, right? So you have its opposite sign, Taurus, earthy sign. Really, it's kind of a stubborn energy. Both these energies are very stubborn. But now we're coming to this point, especially with this one, that we really do have to learn to let go so we may gain. Earlier this week, I made my video, my weekly video, where I said that this is the week where, like, you're going to be gaining a new move. The universe is going to be blessing you with a new move. But in order to gain that new move, you have to relinquish an old move. You know, you've been doing... It's kind of funny, because if you think of like a crossover in basketball, it actually looks like a figure eight. But you've been doing this crossover for a while, or you've had this one move that you've used, and it's good. But people are starting to figure it out. People know the playbook now, and now this is coming to a time where, while you do want to be open and authentic with people, you want to switch it up. So this is going to be a time of a deep let go, and just an acceptance that we are morphing and changing, and an acceptance of who we truly are, and actually going for what we truly want, right? And I'm going to hop in and show you the chart in just a moment, but I really do feel like this is a full moon where, just like my poem says, we've been walking this edge, this cliff, and this cliff has stretched out really, really far over this vast canyon. I want you to use your imagination right now. I want you to imagine yourself having been walking along this long cliff. Like this really long and almost narrow cliff where you can see the canyon around you, but there's still like this narrow path that you've just been walking, and it stretches out so far over this canyon, and the canyon is vast. No matter how far you stretch out over it, you will eventually get to this edge, and you're going to have to learn how to fly. Okay? And that's really what I feel like this full moon is. We've been walking, and we don't even know what's been pulling us. It's been very subconscious what's been pulling us to keep walking, you know? And we might have dreams where we fall off this side, we'll fall off that side. But in truth, Spirit and Source has us continually walking. We keep moving forward, right? And now we're getting to this point with this full moon where we're literally are approaching the edge of it. We are literally approaching the edge. And now we're just going to be, over the next 6 months, just looking. I don't think we're going to take the leap yet. That's not going to be until the new moon in Scorpio. But we're just going to be looking, taking notes, observing, and meditating in that spot at the edge of this cliff, and be like, okay, we are really about to do this. So by the time 6 months rolls from now, and you see like the culmination of this, and how it like really, we begin this new cycle of like really diving into our life, really diving into every day, really having the courage to be us authentically, having the courage to face all of our deepest desires, which we might even be afraid of, having the courage to face these deeper shadows, and having the courage to heal the collective. Because I think, well, a lot of us, we've been healing ourselves, whatever, we've been trying to heal the collective, but this is Scorpio energy, which is water, which is healing in nature, but it's shared resources. So this is a moment where really we are coming to this point where we are really healing as a collective on a deep subconscious level. We have to also consider the fact that it's a Scorpio energy, which Pluto, the Plutonian energy is naturally involved. So death and rebirth, and this confronting of this fear of death, which is truthfully an illusion, because what Scorpio teaches is that there is no true end. There is no true end. It's a very powerful full moon. And I want to just show you just the different energies. And I even want to go back to the last new moon that we had, just to kind of give you, because this full moon is the culmination of the last new moon that we had in Scorpio, which was November 18th, 2017. So I wanted to just show you just the different energies that were being played with these moons, and just how powerful they really are. Okay, so now we're going to hop on over to the chart, and just for editing purposes, I'm going to write down when I hopped on over here. So here we go. This is the full moon that's going to occur on Sunday. This is at 8:58 Eastern Standard Time, okay? Now, as you can see, we have the moon in Scorpio at 9 degrees, opposing the sun in Taurus at 9 degrees. This axis right here is really speaking of us really being shown these deeper desires, right? Us being shown these deeper wants, and us also learning really how to protect our ability to go after these, because Scorpio is a protection energy, which is interesting because, growing up, I had this alter ego, you can say, that was really about protecting those who he loved. Mainly because he had a lot of superpowers and abilities, and a lot of people around him just didn't know about it, but he would constantly be needing to protect them from dark forces or, bad guys, quote unquote. And I just think it's interesting how we have to almost protect what we deeply desire. We have to almost protect it and safekeep it, because not everyone's going to understand it. Because, like I said, this is an opposition. So, where are your values? How do you value yourself? But we also have to consider that this is also transforming. How do you value yourself? How do you value other people? How do you, what do you consider to be luxurious? Now, luxurious doesn't mean that you have to be on a yacht in the, middle of a beautiful lake or something like that. It doesn't mean that you have to have like 10 Lamborghinis. This luxury for you can simply be going for a stroll in the park every day and sitting on your favorite bench and watching people walk by and listening to the birds sing. That can be luxurious for you. Luxurious could be you traveling around the world and going from hostel to hostel and meeting new people and all of these new this interesting facets and colors of life. That could be luxurious for you. Luxurious for you can be eating a PB&J sandwich every day because you freaking love PB&J, right? But we also find that since the full moon is a culmination point and a beginning point in many ways, it's going to really bring to a head and bring to a light, since it's being fully illuminated, what is it that is of true value to us? What is it that really makes us feel truly abundant? And how can we even expand upon that? Because we have to consider that Jupiter is here, and while it is retrograde, we still have to consider, so Jupiter is still in this review period, but we still have to consider, like, how can we expand upon this? And that which we need to let go of, we have to understand that, you know, it's okay. It really is okay. I think it's interesting how the Moon and Jupiter are close with each other, like within 10 degrees, and how Uranus and the Sun are really close with each other, within about 10 degrees. I think that's very interesting how we have that. I think it's very interesting. I think it's definitely by design that it's like that. It is definitely by divine design that we have this. Because the Moon and Jupiter are kind of speaking to each other. I mean, they're not conjunct, but they're speaking to each other because they're in Scorpio. Jupiter is about exposing these deeper desires, and since Jupiter has crossed over this space, the full moon is really going to be bringing to light, you know, what this is. And Jupiter is kind of like, Jupiter right now is actually kind of like the iceberg, you know, it's kind of like what's underneath, you know, all of this space that the moon is covered, this is kind of like what we're becoming aware of. And then everything right here, Jupiter up to the degree where it retrograded, which is about 23 degrees, that's like the iceberg. So now Jupiter is kind of like, it dove all the way down, and now it's kind of diving back up, and it's kind of giving information, it's relaying information back to the moon about what is to be uncovered, right? Interesting, right? And then over here we have the sun, talking about, and the sun is a luminary, so it's illuminating self-worth, self-value, you know, and with being within this degree of Uranus, and it did conjunct Uranus, we have to consider that, you know, what this communication going on right here is that we are all really innovating the self. We are all really innovating our actions and our behaviors. And how can we take actions that further reflect our deepening sense of self-value and self-worth? How can these energies accentuate each other? What actions can we take that deeply accentuate our growing sense of self-worth and self-value, right? Now I want to also key you in on a couple other things, and I'm going to go back to the new moon chart from the last time the new moon was in Scorpio, and then I'll come back to this. But I want to key you in on the numbers, because numbers are vibrations, and they are also very important as far as this goes. So we have a lot of nines with this particular energy. We have a 9 right here. We have a 9 right here with Jupiter. We have a 9 right here with Saturn retrograde. We have a 9 right here with Uranus, and we have a 9 right here. So even this part, the 9, 9, the 9, 9, even further clarifies what's happening here as far as like this energy. Now, what does 9 represent? The 9 is like the end of the road. This is literally like we're walking to the edge of the cliff. And the 9, it's the last number. Like, I know that sounds dumb because you're like, well, there's what about 10, 11, 12, 13? You have to consider that as far as like the digit itself. 9 is the last number because a 10 is just a 1 and a 0. 9 is the last number, which means that we are literally at the end of the road. We are at the end of our ropes of what we need to like really move forward, things that need to be let go of so we can really attract that true abundance. And this can be a scary energy, but I want to assure you that it doesn't have to be all that scary. And in fact, it's really a blessing that we've come to this point where now, with all of this 9 energy, which is speaking of endings, is actually it's a beginning that's right around the corner. I want you to look at the number 9, how it's curved right here, right? It's almost kind of like an 8. It's like coming back around to the center point. So we're almost there. We're almost at that spot. I want you to also think about what these 9s have to do with as far as like endings and beginnings. Emotions, subconscious, and past lives. Having to relinquish old desires and having to relinquish old fears when it comes to manifesting those desires. We have another 9 energy right here with Jupiter, speaking of expanding upon these desires, transforming it, bringing it to the light. I like to think of Jupiter and Scorpio as we're all like getting our clothes taken off. Because we have stacked so many clothes on top of ourselves, but now we're becoming naked before God. Like literally we're becoming naked before God. Like that's what this full moon is. Like no matter what you're trying to hide, you're naked. Saturn retrograde in Capricorn. Coming to an ending of the old way that we climbed mountains. The old way that we took one step in front of the other. The old way that we because Saturn is also it's a contraction energy. It's an energy of hard work. So it's like perhaps there are things that we have been working hard on that just aren't really coming to fruition. They aren't really doing anything for us, you know. And now that's coming to an end. We also have to consider that Saturn in Tarot is the World card. So literally, I'm gonna turn this down a bit, the music. So literally, this is about our world reaching, like our consciousness reaching the edge of how we govern ourselves and how we find order, how we create order in our world. That is coming to an end. That is being transformed with this moon right here, with this full moon. Uranus, how we each on a deep soul level, on a deep, like, because this is Uranus, this is the planet of electricity. It's just come to this spot at 29 degrees. The planet of electricity, it's quantum. So on a deep level, we are all changing the way that we behave. So more aligned with our higher self. And then as far as what we give light to, this is Taurus, this is manifestation energy, this is physical energy, this is almost like settlement energy in many ways. The way that we have settled ourselves and the settlement of our society, we're going to see what is of value in this and what no longer is of value. And that is being transformed. That is coming to an end. Look at all this. 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. And we have a lot of it as fixed energy. And then we have cardinal energy. So we're literally going in another direction. But the reason why I say that we're not jumping off the cliff yet is because we do have 3 of these 9 energies in fixed signs, which means that we're going to literally walk to the edge of this cliff. We're going to pause and marvel at the canyon that we're about to fly through. But we have to sit and ponder things because, you know, Saturn is retrograde here, right? So we're not taking the action just yet. And even Jupiter is here, so we have to ponder how we're going to expand on this. It's like, on a deep level, we're ready to like jump forward. We're ready to like transform our settlement, and we're ready to really move into a new emotional healing. But we're not ready to take the action yet with Saturn. We're not ready to move forward, and we still have to consider how do we expand this, because we're going to come to this cliff again, and we're going to, you know, we have to learn how to expand this. We have to ponder on it a bit. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to take this back to the new moon that occurred last year, in November. And this was on the 18th, right after my birthday. And it occurred at 6:54 a.m. So let me go ahead and put this in. 6:45 a.m. Okay. So this full moon that we're having on Sunday, on the 29th, is a culmination of this new moon that occurred last year, November 18, 2017, at 6:45 a.m. Now I want you to look at this. Now, when I initially looked at this, the number that popped out to me was 6, because we have 6 energy with Saturn here. We have 6 energy right here with the moon, with the sun, with Mars, and we have a 2 plus 4 equals 6 with Chiron. So initially I thought this was talking about 6 energy, which is talking about this great capacity to have empathy and to heal, and this, it's a healing energy. And I think 6 is definitely very important here, but what I think is even more important is the number 8. 1 plus 7 is 8 with Pluto. 2 plus 6 is 8 with Saturn. 1 plus 7 is 8 with Mercury. 2 plus 6 is 8 with the Moon. 2 plus 6 is 8 with the Sun. 8 here with Jupiter. And the North Node with 8 in its energy. What is 8? 8 is power, abundance, infinity. It's like I said, it's a number that, and look at this, November 18th. You can't make this. You can't make this up, man. You cannot make this up. So what was this new moon talking about? This new moon was talking about setting the seed of really these deeper desires that we are going to be receiving. And this was a very, very, very karmic new moon. And the reason why I say that is because we have the number 8, which means that it's an infinity. So in many ways, this was like a destiny new moon. This was like a new moon where really we were just being guided by Source. Anything that was happening to you around this time was destiny, right? I do believe in free will, but I think also it's like the actions that we take. They say that every action has an equal but opposite, reaction. So it's like we have the free will to take actions, but this new moon literally was like a destiny point based off of actions that happened before, in this life and past lives. But I want you to look at the 8 and how it pops up here. So the reason why I say that this was destiny was that we have the North Node in Leo at 18 degrees. So we have an 8 here. This is about really diving into our heart and actually pursuing that. It's interesting here because it's actually trining Mercury here. So let's hop on over to Mercury, which was in Sagittarius, it's debilitated in Sagittarius, but this was really about our mind communicating with these higher faculties of knowledge, the higher faculties of the mind, because Sagittarius rules the high mind. And we were really communicating with our belief structures, right? Setting the seed for new belief structures. We have Saturn at 26 degrees. 2 plus 6 is 8. It's on the galactic center point. The galactic center point ranges from about, it has a pretty big orb. It's like a 5-degree orb. So I would say it ranges from about 26 to about 30 degrees of Sagittarius. It has a very big orb. So Saturn was right here on the galactic center point. And I like to think of the galactic center point as this point that we all revolve around. So it really is like us being recalibrated back to destiny. This was a recalibration point back to like, all right, this is the path. Saturn, hard work, contraction, putting one step in front of the other, climbing this mountain. This was really us, like, any actions taken in around this day was literally for the greater good of the entire galactic cosmos. That's why I say this was fated, because no matter what you did on this day, or in or around this day, it was for the greater good. It wasn't just for you, it was for the greater good. Especially since we also have Mars in Libra, so literally it was for the greater good. Pluto, 1 plus 7, 8. Transforming our sense of tradition, order, society. The Moon and Sun, 2 plus 6 is 8. And Scorpio. Speaking of this culmination point, this beginning point of setting the seed for how we really can express the power and abundance of the infinity that is us. Whew. Incredible. Jupiter at 8 degrees. And it's funny because how right now here it's at 8 degrees and it progresses about 11 degrees, I guess, from this point up to the full moon that we're having. This is the new moon, and it's going forward. And it's interesting because the full moon is actually at 9 degrees, so it's literally like that iceberg I was talking about. The moon is like, it's there. It's actually beginning to dive into it. And just that 1 degree difference is going to make a huge change. A huge change. Power and abundance. There is no power and abundance like infinity. So no matter how far in the depths of your shadows you think you have gone, you can make it back to the light. I want to tell you that, my beautiful brothers and sisters, like, no matter how far you have come, I know we're all, a lot of us are at the end of our ropes. We feel like, we really feel like we are just up against the ropes getting slugged by the universe in some way. But I'm telling you that you're going to make it, that you are okay, and that we all are going to come through this, you know. I'm sure there are people out there that, like, if you're especially on the spiritual path, you've been communicating like what you want, your desires, and not everyone's going to believe you. That's okay. Stay the path, stay the course. I am right there with you. I am right there with you. You know, I have support, but I realized, especially yesterday with that Mars-Pluto conjunction, that the support that I was looking for is not going to be ready. It's not like readily apparent. It's not going to be there. I have to like almost prove myself, which kind of sucks, but I'm not really going to be focused on proving myself. I'm going to just focus on my calling and my passion. And then eventually those people that I wanted that support from will come around. But I can't focus on that right now. I have to focus on the people that do support me. I have to focus on the energies and passions that do support me. Because we all are in this together, okay? 8 energy, destiny, getting into your heart space. 8 energies, Jupiter, expanding, fortune, good luck. 8 energies, sun and moon, new moon, a beautiful seed for new desires, new passions. 8 energy, the mind. How can we learn to communicate with our abundance? All right. I even had this thought, you know, Mercury is debilitated in Sag. I have my natal Mercury at 16 degrees, so I feel like I can speak on this. We have Mercury here, which is debilitated in Sag. That's because when Mercury's in Gemini, it has the ability to really be the messenger and travel around. But when it's in Sagittarius, especially since it's being tugged on by Saturn, it's actually, what Mercury is doing is I want you to think of it as the messenger is kind of like at the temple, and he's writing down all of this stuff that he's going to communicate. Mercury here isn't really traveling around and being a messenger. Mercury right here is just taking notes. And Mercury doesn't necessarily like to take notes. It likes to talk. It likes to be the messenger. It likes to travel around. But right now, Mercury is chilling with Zeus, and they're just taking notes. Mercury is taking notes with the gods about what's going to be communicated with. Saturn, galactic center point, in Terra rules the world card, literally for the greater good of the galactic cosmos. And Pluto, what is being reformed as far as our society and traditions, you know. And with this 8 energy, it's power and abundance. So it's like, you know, there's almost like this want to have this society keep going on, but the way that it looks is going to change, and it has to change. But there will always be societies that replace one another. You know, it was like we had Atlantis, a lot of people will cling to Atlantis and stuff, but it can be recreated, but in a new way. That's just, you know, it can be recreated. So I think this is really also about this new seed of like recreating our society in a way that lends to more power and abundance and infinity. This is the seed that was planted from this new moon, and it's culminating, like I said. It's culminating. I'll take this back to present day so we can get a good barometer of what's happening. And I think it's interesting, because like I said, initially I thought it was 6 energy, but really I think it's 8 energy that's happening with this. And then you come over here to 858. Interesting how we shift from the 8 energy of power abundance to 9 energy at the end of our rope, but at the same time we have to, and look at this, Mars is coming off the conjunction of Pluto. It's climbing past it. So now we're really going to be starting to act on this. And look at this, Chiron is in Aries, so it's talking about us needing to really heal ourselves, and us also standing up for ourselves and actually standing our ground, that no matter what people might think of you in your path, you know, you know what's best for you. You have to communicate with Source and Spirit and God, Goddess. You know how to heal yourself. You're learning more, especially how to heal yourself. Okay? And I want you to also look at this. We have the moon, which will actually square the north node. And the sun, which will square the north node very soon as well. So we have like this square even that's speaking of like, yeah, it might be difficult to express from our heart space. It might be difficult to express these passions. It might be difficult because we're so worried about what everyone else thinks. But we really can't be worried about that anymore. We have to really, honestly, like the galactic, everyone's taken care of. Like with that new moon and the actions that we're going to be taking from that seed, it's taken care of. Like everything that you do right now is for the greater good of the galactic center. It's for the greater good of the galactic community. Now is the time to really focus on yourself and focus on the people that really see your true value. That is what this time is about. That is what this time is about. And yeah, I'm wearing my Philadelphia Fly Eagles Fly Santa hat. I'm getting to the point where I don't feel like messing with my hair, so I'm probably going to actually cut my hair here shortly. I think that's actually kind of perfect for me, just because with this full moon, it's like a time for I can just like release, and I feel like by cutting my hair, I can feel like I can release things. But really, like I said, this is a very powerful full moon of culminations and endings, but also just taking the time to meditate on how far we have come and to meditate on our true desires, our truer, deeper ones, and this life that we really want to create, and focus on the people that are going to help us manifest that. Because this is Scorpio energy, so it's shared resources. So it's like, while you do want to focus on yourself and what you truly want within your own heart, you also have to know that no man is an island, and that you do need people. We need each other. We need each other. But you have to make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that really understand your value, that really understand the gift that you're trying to bring to the world, and they don't doubt that. They support it. This is Taurus energy. It's support. It's a very emotionally healing energy that has a lot of grounded support. That's why Taurus is opposite of Scorpio, because Scorpio it can be a pretty heavy energy. It could be a very intense energy, believe me, I know. But that's why it's opposite of Taurus. What better energy to help ground that than Taurus? Fixed earth. That's why Taurus is there. That's why it's there to support the energy. I'm being told to draw a color card for the collective, and just of what healing can come from this. And I'm also going to draw, I'm going to draw the other cards too, the ones I normally do, the intention card and the animal messenger card. So that card just kind of came through, and I'm going to look at the bottom card as well. So the card that came up is that we have gray, which is learn to scan your body. This is interesting because it has 2 and 9, and Uranus right now is at 29 degrees of Aries. So I think that's interesting how we get this color. With Scorpio, typically there is no gray area. But I think what we're learning right now is that we're going to scan the gray area of our life, and we're going to kind of see where things belong. I like to think of this almost as the yin and yang coming more into focus, because if you think of the yin and yang, it's black and white, but there's a little bit of white in the black, and there's a little bit of black in the white, So it's like, sometimes we can get caught up in that gray area, and we have to realize that, there is light and dark and light. Like, it's all together. So there are parts of your life right now that you might see as dark, but there is light in there. But you have to learn to kind of scan your surroundings, and you have to scan your body so really what really belongs and what doesn't belong. But actually know that there's still always going to be a seed of that within you. But you have to allow yourself to move towards the energies that better serve you right now. And we have Amber, which is awaken your creativity. Awaken your creativity. Awaken the creativity that's within yourself, that's within your heart. That which really makes you feel young again and youthful and really puts a smile on your face and gets you to just laugh uncontrollably. That's what you really want to focus on, you know? And when it says learn to scan your body, it's talking about the body, but it's also talking about just the body of your life, you know? What is in the body of your life that is misaligned? And how can you begin to tweak things, you know, like a chiropractor, to get things more in line and to get that real flow of energy to where you really can awaken your creativity. That's what I think this is. I think this is about adjusting the body of your life so you can really awaken your creativity. That's what this is. And like I said, within the next 6 months up into the next new moon, we will really see how this all comes to a head and how we all take that next step, which I believe is jumping off the cliff and flying through this canyon, right? I'm going to draw an intention card too. Just take the card at the top and a card off the bottom. And then I'm going to draw one animal messenger card. And then that'll conclude. I know this video is going to be a little bit longer. Perfect. Perfect card. This card flew off the top. Isolation, and I already saw the bottom card, so this is perfect. Isolation, 3 of Swords. So I don't see this as heartbreak to other people. I think this is really heartbreak with oneself. And holding ourselves back and keeping ourselves encapsulated in this ice. This is fixed Scorpio energy, so this is ice. So maybe we are feeling that we have kept ourselves iced off from the world because there are certain people that have really hurt us, that didn't understand our creativity, that didn't understand our true worth and our value, that we felt the need to hold ourselves back. But this character is crying these rainbow tears. Look at that. What's that quote? It said something like, the soul can't see rainbows unless it has tears, or something like that. So it's like, this is a very healing energy to where you're going to, over the next 6 months especially, come into contact with people that give you these tears of joy that allow you to kind of thaw the iciness that's in your heart. And it's really going to make you feel alive again and not really heartbroken, because you're heartbroken from, you know, either maybe past relationships, family matters, job situations, projects that didn't necessarily come to fruition. But all of that's in the past. Now is the time for great healing and really stepping into who we are. And the bottom card we actually have is Inner Voice, or the High Priestess. So this is really speaking of, you know, tapping into our own connection of source and tapping into our own tuition. And it's interesting how, like, the moon is literally sitting on top of her, on the top of the High Priestess, right? We have the 2 dolphins here. This is amazing. This is really about honoring our connection to spirit and honoring who we are. And yeah, we do want to protect ourselves from other people and protect our energy, but we can put up so many barriers so much a lot of the time that it's hard for people to really see us. We're like hidden behind all this ice, you know? But I guarantee you that there are people, especially if the universe has been chipping away at your ice, chip, 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 and you're sitting here in the middle, cold, but you're just like, no, I can't do it again. I can't expose myself, because what happens if I get hurt? And I'm telling you, the sun is illuminating this, and now God is going to be looking at all of us and be like, no matter how far you have come, I promise you, you are okay. No matter how far you have come, I promise you, you are okay, my beloved, just the way you are. That's what's being communicated. That's what's being communicated. And the Animal Messenger card, I'm just going to not even bother shuffling it. Perfect. The orangutan. Working to live joyously, not living to work. We are going to create a society where we are not we're not going to be living to work. We did not come here to work. We came here we came here to have joy. We came here to play. We came here to dance, to sing, to laugh. That's why we came here. But we've created a society where we're just working. We have fooled ourselves into adopting these traditions and these ideologies that we just have to work. No, we are naturally a joyous, abundant, creative energy that wants to explore, create, evolve. But our settlement has kind of settled for too long, and now things are being shaken up. This is a time for play. And the best way to play right now is to really be yourself. Adopt who you really are. Your inner child wants to just play, So really, truly embrace who you are. And embrace the people around you that really understand that. And then people who don't, radiate love to them anyways, because you don't want to just completely shut them out. Like I said, this is the yin yang. So it's like I said, the black has white in it and the white has black in it. So you don't want to completely shut them out, but you want to protect yourself. You want to radiate love to them. You still want to send blessings to them. But at the same time, what you want to do is that you want to create your life right now in the way to where the people around you and the physical objects that are around you really begin to reflect your joy. They really begin to reflect your joy. All right? And just real quick, I wanted to show you. I've shown you guys, I think, my staff, but I recently bought this, which is a sword. And for the longest, it was weird. There was a moment in my life over the past year or so where I almost put down the sword. But I actually I have a good bit of, my 5th house is Aries, so it's I have this infatuation with sparring and stuff. I have this infatuation with heroes and swords and warriors and stuff. And I do believe that this is a moment in our life where we have to really fight to be who we are. And I don't think you have to do this in a necessarily volatile way. I think you really just have to stand your ground and just be who you are. This is a spiritual dance, but this is also a spiritual war. So stand your ground and be who you are, and don't be afraid. The sword. It's like words. That's why the suit of air in tarot is the sword, because words can be swords. But you want to make sure that. I want to make sure that the sword that I swing around is one of healing. So even if I come up against an opposition, that whatever part I strike in them, I heal that aspect. That's kind of the way that I see it. And my sword does have a name, which I'm not going to tell you guys what it is. I'm really happy I got this sword, though. So really, fight for who you are, okay? Because there are forces out there that are trying to distract you from who you are and trying to take you away from who you are. And they're working their way through other people. I don't want you to, and it's through other people. They're just the vessel, right? It's not so much them that's doing it. It's these forces that are trying to distract you from who you are. But God right now is revealing to you, I know who you are. And you know who you are. I know who you are. And you know who you are. So now this is really about the time about really being who we are and allowing that to heal us. Now is the time to where being ourselves is really what's going to heal us. Anyways, that is it for your full moon and Scorpio reading. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. If you would like a personal reading with me, you can follow the link below to the aquarianadepts.com. And just know, my beautiful brothers and sisters, that you are able, you are beautiful, you are creative, you are divine, and you are energetic. You are infinite. You are infinite. And no matter how far you may stray, the map to the path, that light It's always within you. And you can always get back. You can always get back on path. So I love you all, my beautiful brothers and sisters, my beloveds. Go out, create, manifest, love, joy, laugh. Just feel how amazing life is. And feel that gratitude and radiate that love. Radiate love. Yahoo! Just radiate love. And you will be okay. I promise you all. Anyways, y'all take care. Peace out. Y'all have an awesome full moon in Scorpio. Ah!